Now time for Sports and Courts, legal issues in the sports world with Brett Hastings from the Hastings Injury Law Firm. Hit back with Hastings.
Brett Hastings is here to talk about sports and courts, and we'll get to that in a minute. How did I not know this story, that you and Carline have been planning this stuff without me? Clearly, I can tell. We'll see where the friendships are. How did I not know what you just told me?
This was out when you were in Margaritaville. I sent you a text, and I said, hey, are you going to stay over? And I never heard back from Frank, and he's real good about responding to texts.
I'm a good text guy.
Yeah.
I'm a terrible email guy. I'm a good text guy. So you now are telling me on the 11th of June in 2025 that after the Jags play the Raiders in Vegas
right
on a Sunday
right
in Vegas, one day later in Vegas, the Gator basketball team plays, the defending national champion Gator basketball team plays Arizona?
Plays Arizona.
Okay,
right.
And you're going.
I'm going.
And you're going.
Right.
I think I'm going.
Yeah. You're going.
I'm pretty sure
you're going.
Because you're going to the game.
I will be in Vegas. And yes,
well, I will too.
Yeah. And so, and we're flying. We were already flying back on Tuesday. So it really, it couldn't have worked out better. So I'm pretty sure.
How did I not know this?
Right.
I mean, this is impossible. I'm disappointed in me.
Right.
I'm disappointed in myself. I'm disappointed in both of y'all just out of general principle.
It's like, what are the odds?
How did I not know this?
Florida, Georgia, Saturday.
Okay.
Jaguars, Raiders, Sunday.
So,
Florida, Arizona, Monday.
And there's an off chance that just a moment ago here on the First Coast, Hayes Carline from the Bowl School might have said, we're going to be celebrating that day after DJ Lagway passes Florida to a 45-17 win over Georgia.
Exactly.
Okay. And not to be outdone, I said,
not going to need an airplane.
Yeah, that's what he said. And I said, and then I added to that because I thought I needed to contribute to that moment, that what about when Thomas Houck goes for 38 against Arizona, right? So there's that. So, okay. I didn't know this. I didn't say anyway. I didn't know.
Get your Boogie Flan jersey.
I guess.
You get to watch DJ Lagway, ideally, followed by Travis Hunter, ideally, followed by Boogie Flan.
Yes.
How about that weekend?
It's good.
How about that weekend? Okay. Is that any good?
It's as good as it gets.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm very happy right now. So
Yep.
that's what I am. By the way, let's do sports and courts because NIL is everywhere. What's most interesting for people that don't know, and we've tried to explain this, and Hayes has done a better job than I have when all this was going on. Even with the House settlement behind us, $20.5 million is what teams, it looks like, can spend. That the school can actually pay the players that money, the pay for play, Brett, that you always talk about. NIL will still be there. You can still enhance it with NIL dollars, but now there will be a clearinghouse. There's something called the College Sports Commission. There's this guy named Brian Seeley that will manage that, and it will have, if you get an NIL deal, it'll have to be proper value, not whatever you want to pay. Take me from that point forward, some of the ins and outs of this thing.
Yeah, this is a huge change, right? And so we've talked about it a lot, as we've addressed NIL in, here on Sports and Courts. Really what everybody wants to see is sort of a czar, right? You want to have a Roger Goodell, somebody who can make decisions and then effectuate things as it goes.
Right.
So clearly the two people that want this more than anybody else are the Big Ten and the SEC, right? And so they've already gone to their member institutions and said, hey, everybody's buying in. This is the way that we're going to operate. Now, what's unique is we hear it all the time. Like a lot of times I have clients come to me and they'll want to use the word mediation interchangeably with arbitration, and they're radically different, right? A mediation is just a negotiation, right? You're not bound by it. It's a way to try to get things resolved. And arbitration is binding, okay? And the idea behind arbitration is that it's supposed to be much quicker than a regular lawsuit, right? All the time we hear about things in here, and they could be in the court systems for 1, 2, or 3 years, right? And so in arbitration, you basically agree to say, hey, I can't go to court. I can't go file this lawsuit. The place where this is going to get decided is going to be with the arbitrator, and we're going to be bound by it. But here's the thing that nobody really realizes, and why I personally, as a personal injury trial lawyer, hate arbitration, okay? An arbitrator, if they consider everything, take in all the evidence, right, they can then make a decision that really can be insane, and you don't have any right of appeal, okay? And so what we want to do, it's just like sports. What do? We go in and we watch an instant replay because we want to get it right, you know?
Right.
And I told you years ago I'd litigated something. We had asserted that a contractor had committed fraud all the parties, and this was against, my desire, but my client was adamant about it, chose a non-lawyer to decide. It was somebody with a really good background in commercial construction. And they found the contractor committed fraud. He did. And they also found that there were no damages. And by law, if you find fraud, there have to be damages. So we won the case, didn't win any money, and we couldn't go and appeal it. And so that's the one bit of concern that you have here. I think an arbitrator's good to decide eligibility for, if somebody's taken a performance-enhancing drug or some of these other types of things. But, I think this is where we're going to get in. And if they start making really arbitrary decisions, those athletes are going to be bound at the time. And this wasn't collectively bargained, right? The process with the NFL, I believe, will be much better than what we'll see initially in college because you had a lot of people there advocating, and it's been honed over the years. So, this will be a good first step, but it's going to be rocky.
So will the collectives go away, or how does the school's collective in the NIL world, how do they go about distributing money?
So they're going to distribute the money that would be above. I saw something on social media, right, which we can't necessarily believe, but it had said that the totality of deals, as they had come to find out, for Cooper Flagg were $28 million, right? So there's still going to be these players that are going to take a lot of money. And right now, there is, and you got to understand this, a cap that the university can pay direct. There's not a cap on NIL. Okay. And right now, when we talk about Title IX, and we got to get on this in a whole other segment, but right now, you can't just pay all the money to men athletes. Okay. And the way this is going to get distributed is going to have to be worked out. And not every school has to give $21 million. What they're saying is you're allowed to pay directly up to $21.5 million, which constitutes like 22% of essentially the totality of the media rights deals that the power conferences has. The Ivy League's already said, we're not paying people. We're not going to do this. A lot of other mid-tier schools are going to be. So the collectives will become marketing and helping to induce to attract players more than what they were doing in the past, but they will continue to supplement. This will just make it easier.
But I understand. Tell me if I understand this right. Hayes and I talked about this yesterday. Okay. Mike Anderson Seafood in Baton Rouge, legendary seafood restaurant, decides they were going to give Garrett Nussmeier $2 million to be their spokesperson. The Clearinghouse said for 4 months. The Clearinghouse comes in and does its due diligence and says, no, the value to that is about $50,000 or $80,000. You can't pay him $2 million. The value is $80,000. That's the value for him, or $50,000 for him as your spokesperson. Do they stop him immediately? And if that money still goes, they make him. You see my point? Right. Am I understanding this incorrectly? I think the whole point of this Clearinghouse and the NIL Go, which is what it's called, is they can tell you what the value is to Mike Anderson Seafood to have Garrett Nussmeier as their spokesperson, rather than just, we can give you $2 million to do it. Do I understand it correctly?
Right. Yes, that's correct.
So if the Clearinghouse says it's worth $50,000, then LSU has to pay him $50,000, and then if you find out later that LSU paid him $500,000, they can suspend the player.
Right.
Okay. But, is that can you appeal that? I guess that's what
I don't have all of the specifics in front of me, right?
I think that's right, though.
You know what I would do? I go and get advisory opinions from the bar for advertising or whatever. I'd say, hey, why don't you look at this deal? We're not going to LSU yet.
Right.
Why don't you tell me whether or not this deal is going to work out great, and let's see how it is. Because I think the thing that could become problematic for the players there, right? Yeah. And who's running this? Yeah, and it's really ultimately run by the universities and the conferences and the other people. The players aren't picking the arbitrators here, okay?
Yeah,
and so if it's an honest, fair representation to put those things together, then okay, that's fine. Like we were just talking off air, I saw a report on social media, and hey, we can't necessarily believe that, but it said that Cooper Flagg had realized $28 million. Right. I mean, that shocked me, right, in the last year. And so that might be the thing where things could come and be reined in or whatever. But, Cooper Flagg really is a huge personality, and he really could drive, marketing and sales and everything else. I mean, what would Tim Tebow's name, image, and likeness Benworth at the University of Florida.
Then or now? I mean, last year or this year? Last year, $28 million or whatever the number is.
Right.
This year, only whatever the Clearinghouse says Spurrier's Restaurant can legitimately pay him. That's how it's different.
Well, I agree and I disagree, but as an attorney, what you would look at, you would say that value was always consistent. Okay. What happened was it was just the wild west, right?
Yeah, right.
But I would go in there and I'd say there are certain athletes. I think DJ Lagway, is one of them, and these other just sort of, I'm trying to think who else in the last couple of years. Really, Cooper Flagg. Right. Some of these people are transcendent. You see, like, how many followers he has, like, already on social media and stuff. And so they are really outside of the bubble. And so I think that's what's going to be interesting is.
Good. That's a really good point. I wonder if Tim Tebow would suddenly, because of who he is, how big he is, or whatever, why am I drawing a complete blank on Paul Skeen's girlfriend? Livvy Dunne.
Right.
So Livvy Dunne, who gets
How dare you?
Obviously, you are ill.
Yeah,
I am, and I apologize.
Pirates fan.
I apologize. I apologize to my male buddies everywhere. So every demerit I deserve, it just wouldn't come up. But my point is, she is believed to be worth millions. So would the Clearinghouse say it's okay for Mike Anderson Seafood in Baton Rouge to give her $3 million and Garrett Nussmeier $80,000? Because she has that's what, and I guess we don't know that, right?
Right.
I mean, that's what we don't.
And that's what I'm saying. I'd be real interested, just as a litigator, what's the methodology to determine that, right? Like when you look at commercial real estate, they'll break it down to the price per square foot. You'll look at these other comps and you'll go in. And so initially, I think it's going to be really interesting, right? Like, how are you going to start the comp process? Because I think a lot of this happened behind closed doors, right? So I would go in, and if I got a guy who's close to Cooper Flagg, go, hey, Cooper Flagg was getting $28 million. What do you mean we can't get $2 million from the top seafood restaurant here?
Right. Final thing. Will there be lawsuits everywhere during all this? Is that your guess?
Yes,
that's what they're trying to avoid.
Well, what they're going to tell a lot of these people, or these young adults, are you want to compete now, you got to join and get in, and then you're going to be bound by this stuff with the arbitration. Tim, if you're out there, if you're listening, call me, right?
Yeah.
I would opt out of the house settlement. Your value is probably a lot more than these other people. Are they contemplating that for, the people in the past? And I think he's just outside of, what they had on this 10-year window. I think you'll see those lawsuits, right?
Yeah.
The people that had a ton of money that was out there in name, image, and likeness aren't really being addressed in the right way in the house settlement. And there are a lot of other people that played ball that's probably get a bigger check than what they would go and deserve. So I think we'll continue to litigate that name, image, and likeness that's in the past. And then I think people are going to kind of go and challenge the rules. I think the thing that's a big game changer, though, is if you opt in to this system, you don't really have all those good antitrust arguments that you had before. So it'll be interesting to see who tries to stay on the outside, the periphery from, institutions or anything like that.
It'll be interesting to see a crazy time in college athletics. Brett Hastings from the Hastings Injury Law Firm.